Okay, hey guys, welcome to another video with the mentorship program. My name's Kirsten. I'm doing a Bachelor of Engineering and Business Management at UQ. Someone else want to introduce themselves?
I'm Zoe. I'm doing a Bachelor of Science at UQ. I'm in my third year.
I'm Alex. I'm doing a Bachelor of Engineering at UQ as well. I'm only my first year.
Okay, so we're here today to talk about STEM subjects and the degrees at university that relate to those. So I'm just going to start off with asking Zoe the difference between that she found between the high school subjects that she took and her degree, like her first in her first year.
Oh, so I did science. Kind of in the first year, it's a bit broad, but you do have your kind of physics, chemistry, biology, kind of still separated. But there is a lot of kind of overlapping subjects, especially in first year. And the things are just a lot more specific. So rather than taking like your general biology class where you're given like your set of whatever curriculum that you're learning, you get really specific and in-depth kind of run-throughs of each in each subject. So some of them are like specifically like cell structure and organisms. Or one that I'm doing at the moment is like specifically model organisms that you use in biology. So they're a lot less like a lot of broad spectrum of content, and you're more kind of honing in on like specific little things. But it's not too like wildly different, I didn't find anyway, to your normal kind of high school biology. It was just a lot more specific and a lot more in-depth for each subject. But you are doing like 4 subjects, so you still do get a broad range of knowledge and concepts that you're learning about. But yeah, it just gets a lot more specific, and that's kind of the main difference that I saw.
Okay, and so does that give you an idea then, like you get a taste of everything so you can kind of decide what you want to major in later?
Yeah, it definitely does. I know for mine, when I was looking at biology, some of my subjects were plant related and others were like mammal related. And so I kind of found that I didn't really like the whole like blood and guts, like human biology side. So in first year, kind of in the course where it touched on everything, I was like, I kind of like learning about plants a lot more. So yeah, you do kind of get an idea as each course, like as you go on, you get more specific. Like you can choose your major as biology, but then you can go on to either choose like genetics or plant biology or like zoology or things like that. So yeah, as you go on, you do get a bit more specific about everything, and you do kind of get first generally introduced to it all, and then as you go, you can kind of choose as you get more specific.
Yeah. Okay, so Alex and I are both doing engineering, so I'll get Alex to start listing some of the differences he found between his high school subjects and first year engineering.
Well, I didn't do too. Obviously, Bundy High doesn't offer too many like engineering specific subjects. We did have graphics, and that was fairly similar to Eng 1100, which I did in first semester. In that, just in the layout of the assignment and in some aspects of the depth you go into, but obviously at university, yeah, you go into a bit more depth into your project. The maths, I found personally, there was a fairly big difference in the maths, not just the level of maths, but the type of maths that's taught at university. And they are kind of more challenging than your maths at high school.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I found that doing engineering first year, it was a lot more of a combination of your physics and math and like lots of problem solving. Wasn't like anything much we really touched on too much at high school. But if you think you're really going to enjoy, problem solving and you do really like your math subjects, then that's definitely something to consider. So yeah, I'm going to ask what everyone's first year structure was like. So the kind of subjects that you did. Zoe, if you want to start off on that one.
Oh, so my first year, I knew that I wanted to go into like biology, chemistry. So I steered clear of the physics subjects. So I don't know too much about that. But I know in between chemics and biology, what did I say? Chemistry and biology specifically, there was a lot of overlapping subjects for requirements of your major. So a lot of the time I was traveling down, I could choose either path. It was the main difference I see, or the main kind of surprise that I had, was the labs. You have 3-hour labs straight, which is a little bit of a shock to the system. But it's also really interesting. You get to do a lot more hands-on things, especially compared to what you're used to in high school, and a lot more like expensive and kind of a lot more thinking for yourself in the labs as well. And then you also have like tutorials and lectures, which are more kind of like the high school scene. But it's still a lot more, I guess, kind of you're transitioning into more being more independent in your work and things like that.
Yeah, okay. I know for engineering, this one of the standout subjects, because there's quite a few that you have to do that everyone does. So first year engineering is very much so everyone does kind of the same thing, depending on what you want to major in, but usually like there's a lot of the mech, civil, mining people all doing classes together. Because it's only around the second year that people start going into their majored subjects. So yeah, if you're not really sure what kind of major you want to go into, then it's not really a big issue with engineering because it's very broad. But Alex, you want to tell us about the 1100 and 1200 subjects a little bit more? Because I think that one's a really interesting subject.
Yeah, so as you were saying, Kirsten, the 1100 and 1200 subjects are really good because they cover a very broad range of engineering disciplines that you come together, you work as a team to create something. So for first semester, Eng 1100, I worked with the team to create a landmine detection and marking robot. So it includes like your mechanical, your electrical, your mechatronic, and then they had a bridge building one and a water filtration system project as well. Yeah, so there's a lot of different options for you to choose. You can try different engineering majors just to see what you like, what you want to move into.
Yep. Okay, great. Yeah. It's very much so, yeah, you're given a big project to work on with a group. So 1100 is really good. 1200 is really good for meeting people as well. Yeah, so for that one there, Zoe, how did you end up go about choosing your major?
So I'm very bad at making decisions, notoriously. So I kind of kept my options open for my major until kind of the very last minute. It's kind of really just what you enjoy, because there's no point in really pursuing something that you're not going to enjoy. Like, as much as you can look at, oh, it's really good money to do this, if you don't enjoy it, I probably wouldn't pursue it personally. So yeah, as I was going through my subjects, I think as I said before, I was like, oh, like I like this aspect of it, I don't like that aspect of it. And so that's how kind of I just through. So from the start, I was pretty much chemistry and bio. As I got to second year, I was like, no, I think I like the biology a bit more. And then it was only really third year that I chose my specific major of genetics. But it is pretty good because you do, in science, you have a few, usually a little bit of room for like a couple of electives. So I was able to do like a couple of chemistry subjects and then still be able to get all my prerequisites for my biology subjects. But as I said at the start, like a lot of the first year and second year subjects tend to overlap still as prerequisites for either major in that sense. So yeah, I think kind of just looking at what you enjoy, and just, I guess, looking at even the individual classes that you have to study for each, individual subjects that you have to study for each major. Because I know I was looking at all the chemistry ones, and I was looking, there was a lot of things, like I was reading like the ECPs of the classes, see what they did in it, and I was like, I'm a bit more interested in the biology ones, and I could see myself actually like wanting to study or wanting to spend 3 hours in a lab doing this. So yeah, I think kind of just exploring your options and going with what you are good at, what you like, things like that.
Were there a lot of majors to choose between in science, and like a lot of duals as well?
There are a few. You can the rules I still don't completely understand. But yeah, so you can choose your overarching like biology, chemistry, physics major. You can choose like within that major group, you have little sets of majors like genetics, zoology, different things like that. And then you can also go for a minor as well. So you can do, say, a major in genetics and a minor in microbiology, which is what I was going to do at one point. If you do choose to do a major and a minor, you kind of restrict yourself in how many free or like elective type fun subjects that you can choose. You're kind of more like you have to complete so many prerequisites. But if it's something you enjoy and that you're choosing to study, it obviously won't be a problem. So yeah, there is definitely a lot of kind of like
Different,
specific
yeah,
things
choices.
that you can go
Yeah.
into, like marine biology or like really like theology. But yeah, it kind of depends whether you want major or minor, just a major, and yeah, what you're wanting to study there.
Yeah. And with duals as well, I'm assuming you can do duals in like math and science and
Yeah. Ooh, sorry. Yeah, there's definitely the options for the dual degrees. A few people are doing them. Yeah.
yeah. And then you originally went into advanced science as well, so that's always an option for anyone wanting to do that. Do
Yeah,
you want to quickly
exactly.
explain that what that is?
So the Advanced Bachelor of Science, it pretty much includes your honours year. So that's why I dropped back to a normal Bachelor of Science because I didn't want to do my honours year. But I really enjoyed the first 2 or 3 years that I was in the Advanced Science. You do pretty much the same subjects, but you just do an advanced version of it. So you might have an extra like contact where in a few of my classes, like they bring in guest lecturers. So you get to kind of like meet a lot more people in the field. Some of my advanced subjects would go on like field trips out. But also in the labs, you just get in like the advanced versions of some of the courses that you have to do in the Advanced Bachelor of Science. You just get a
Yeah.
lot more, I guess, experience. So instead of doing like the stock standard, this is your like lab manual, follow that, do this experiment. You'd instead be put in to either like work closely with lecturers or like PhD students to help complete an experiment for their PhD, or do a lot more like, this is the overarching experiment we want to do and we want you to design your own like experiment and things like that. So it's definitely, I found if you're particularly wanting to go into research, it gives you a lot more freedom, but even it's just a lot more kind of, it gives you a few more experiences or a lot more like in-depth looks at things.
Yeah, okay, thanks for that. So I'm doing engineering management, and I know there's a lot of other duals, and I have a few other friends doing duals with engineering, like geosciences, with math, just normal science. So yeah, there's lots of choices there, and with the majors as well, there's a huge list. But if you do a dual, your list is restricted, I think, to about 6 majors when I chose mine. So I decided to do the business management with the engineering just because I wanted to go into project management initially. So if that's kind of what you're wanting to do, maybe that's something to consider as well, like doing a dual so you can open up your options to other occupations as well. And Alex, what are you studying? Like, what are you wanting to go into?
So I'm doing mechanical and aerospace. I mean, obviously that's what interests me. But yeah, as you were saying, Kirsten, there's so many different majors, like dual majors you can choose. So I'm doing mechanical and aero, but I think they're bringing mining and geotech. Kirsten, have you? I think that's one of the new ones they're bringing in. Don't quote me on
Yeah,
that.
they're constantly bringing new ones in, so
Yeah, but
there's so many different
you know,
options.
but they're like even software engineering, which is similar to coding, is an engineering degree. I have like environmental engineering as well. So there's such a broad range of
Yeah,
disciplines you
even
can
if you
choose.
do, like, for example, I'm doing civil, even if you want to do civil engineering, but then do it with environmental engineering as well.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
There's lots of different choices you've got there, and those are things you can decide too, halfway through first year when you're doing your subjects and you decide you like certain things, and
Yeah,
then you
exactly.
meet people and talk to other people, and
Yeah, exactly. Like End 1100 and 1200, although I think they're replacing it with a new one. Yeah, they're great pathway subjects, so it's great for you to try, and especially if you like it, or like, you know, the discipline that you've tried, you know, there's a good chance that you can do too, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think we've covered just about everything we need to cover today. Anyone else have anything else they'd like to say?
Don't think so.
I think that.
No? All right. Thanks everyone for watching. We hope you learnt something from this. All right. Bye.
See ya.